Graph the solution to this system of inequalities. All right, I have two inequalities. I'm going to graph them both, which involves shading, me being careful with lines, and finding out where both shadings meet. So let's take a look at this first guy right here. This is x is less than or equal to -3. This is not standard y equals mx plus b form. This is just x and a number. When you have just x and a number, your point and your line is going to be a line that's vertical going through -3. So I'll put a dot right here at -3, and then I'll come over here. I will draw a vertical line going through -3. Now, before I just willy-nilly draw a line, there's two things that I have to notice. It's less than or equal to, which means the line that I'm going to draw is going to be a solid line because I'm allowed to include the line. That's what the or equal to part means. Now what I have to do is determine which side I shade. Since this is less than -3, I'm going to shade to the left of -3 like so. So this blue shading is the stuff that's going to be true for that top equation. Any point in this area is going to be a true statement for the phrase x is less than or equal to -3. Now I have my other equation, and my other equation is in slope-intercept form. So here I could say that my slope, let's get a nice thin one, my slope is going to be 5/3, positive 5/3 is going to look like this, and my y-intercept is going to be 2. So we'll start out at 2. We'll go up 5, right 3, so up 1, 2, 3, 4, I can't do it. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, left 1, 2, 3, put a dot, down 1, 2, 3, I'm out of space. Now here I have less than, not less than or equal to, which means I need to turn my line into a dashed line. So I connect the dots like this, like so. But I'm not done yet. See, what I have to do is now that I have my line, I have to shade to the underneath part of it because y is less than that. So I'm going to shade a lot of this graph, but only a teensy part is going to end up in my final answer. So shading, shading, shading. And what's going to happen is as I shade all of this and all the stuff that's yellow is going to be stuff that's true for the bottom equation. Okay, true for the bottom equation until I hit this part. Now that little chunk that's barely green, you can barely see that it's green, that chunk that the blue and the yellow overlap is going to be my final answer because that's where the inequalities meet. Okay, so I always like to label that R because R. And what that means is anything in this area is going to be a point that makes both of these true. So some random point like -4, -6 would be a point in that area. -4, -6 would live in this green area if that were to keep going. And what that would mean is if I were to plug in -4, -6 into the top equation and -4, -6 into the bottom equation, it would work for both of them. So blue only works for the top, yellow only works for the bottom, and green here, the R, works for both.